We're back for Your Ears Only. I'm David Alpern.
I'm Melissa Exelberth with a quote from the news. I will bring unconventional and asymmetrical warfare. That was the threat in a Facebook manifesto by heavily armed former L.A. policeman and Navy Reserve marksman Christopher Dorner, explaining his apparent murder of at least 3 people as revenge for being fired by the LAPD in 2008. Also last week, celebrated ex-Navy SEAL sniper Chris Kyle and a buddy were shot and killed by a former Marine corporal with mental problems that they were trying to help after his release from a Dallas VA hospital over his parents' objections. Now this.
The NRA once supported background checks.
We think it's reasonable to provide mandatory instant criminal background checks for every sale at every gun show. No loopholes anywhere for anyone.
It is time to provide an opportunity for legal residence and citizenship for those who are brought to this country as children and who know no other home. Make border security, employment verification, and creating a workable guest worker program immediate priorities.
2 major reform efforts continued to gain steam last week. After a Super Bowl ad recalling that the NRA actually supported background checks before it opposed them, New York's Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer began bipartisan behind-the-scenes talk on such checks, including 2 Senate colleagues with A ratings from the NRA. Also last week, House Majority Leader Eric Cantor reversed his earlier opposition to some aspects of immigration reform, though fellow House Republicans seemed more comfortable with the legal residency option than the path to full citizenship that most Hispanic activists are demanding.
Both movements benefited from new technology that makes personal information more available than ever, whether to prove the right to purchase a gun or to work while Latino. And that common information orientation may be moving the country closer than ever to a new national identity card, long previously disdained on the left and right. David Bier, policy analyst at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, published several warnings about that last week. And to discuss the issue for Your Ears Only, David Bier is on the line now. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
First, give us a little history on opposition to a national ID card from the right and the left. What have the major arguments been?
On this point, both sides have had very similar objections. The right small government groups have historically opposed it for many of the same reasons that the civil liberties left have. The main objection seems to be that it could be used to monitor and restrict access to activities that they consider to be rights protected by the Constitution, everything from employment to guns to Internet access. And so these groups don't want to see their fundamental rights dependent on a card. They don't want to have to prove their rights, which fundamentally inverts the relationship between the people and the government. It makes every person essentially guilty until proven innocent. It creates a truly papers, please world.
Proponents of immigration reform have accepted the need for a database and documents to prove that an immigrant has the legal right to work. You say it will only increase the cost of illegal work for employers and employees. Explain that.
Well, the main reason why it would increase the cost of illegal work is that it basically says we're going to ban work unless you have a document. And so what that does is create massive demand for fraudulent documents. And so what we've seen over, 25 years of having prohibited work without some form of identification, we don't have a national ID yet, but whether it's dependent on driver's licenses or passports, etc., what we've seen is that we've created a huge black market in fraudulent documents by prohibiting work for unauthorized immigrants. So, the whole idea of fraud resistant, we're gonna ban work through cards that can't be faked is, impossible. No one knows what next year's technology will enable unauthorized immigrants to get work with.
And why do you say that an E-Verify system for immigrants would inevitably morph into an ID card for all workers and would-be workers?
Well, it essentially already is becoming that. The main reason is because the system works better the more information it gains on each individual worker. So it's already taking information from state motor vehicle agencies, applying it to the Social Security Administration database, combining it with the Department of Homeland Security database. So it's becoming a sinkhole of all the data that the government has on you into one centralized location. And so because E-Verify can be used from any computer, the police or any private individual who wants to look up, your information or identify you in some way, all they need to do is have access to the internet, which everyone does from their phone right now. So you can be stopped on the street, asked to know your Social Security number and your name. Any police officer in the entire United States could look you up using this system.
Is it possible that a national ID card is seen as less a threat than ever in the age of Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, when young people revel in revealing so much about themselves?
I think it's more of a threat in the age of the internet age, for one of the reasons that I just pointed out, is because this information would be easily available to restrict access to the internet or be used as a monitoring device. The Obama administration has actually talked about exactly that, using some sort of national identification to monitor internet identity theft, privacy. Piracy is another big area that Congress is looking to regulate. Could easily be regulated using a online identification system such as E-Verify. So when we're talking about national ID, the difference between private interests like Twitter and Facebook is that they're held in private hands. These are consumers. When I go on Facebook, I'm a consumer of that product. And so I agree to, lend them some information under certain terms, and that I agree to that. When the government has it, it's mandatory.
David Bier is a policy analyst at the Competitive Enterprise Institute.
Quote from the news, "Sometimes we forget how crazy the world is until this happens here." That was Reverend Melvin White of Midland City, Alabama, after an almost 6-day standoff with Vietnam veteran Jimmy Lee Dykes after he shot a local school bus driver and kidnapped a 5-year-old boy to his underground survivalist bunker. Police and federal agents finally broke in using flash grenades to stun Dykes, then fatally shot him and rescued the boy in time for his birthday.
Next, recreating a classic French film for the off-Broadway stage, Children of Paradise, for your ears only.